the habit of kindness. And we're working through our series this month, which is Flashes of Wonder. Flashes of Wonder. I love that look. Doesn't that just say wonder? You just hear him going, ooh. There's so many examples of unkind acts that we see in our world today and maybe even experience in our life. I'm sure most of us have experienced an unkind act at some point. We may have also been the giver of an unkind act at some point, either intentionally or unintentionally, more likely, right? I've noticed that unkindness seems to be increasing in recent years. And I'm not sure if it's increasing really or if it's my tolerance is decreasing. It may be that. But we see it in the media, we see it on social media, and we see it, just in drivers, right? There's just not a lot of courtesy and kindness that happens there. We see it with customer service people. I don't know about you, but it's like, what happened to customer service in the service departments? Everyone's short and testy and unwilling. Is that another response? Seems to be a rising tide to just ignore courtesy and common decency and compassion. Is unkindness becoming a habit of being? Is meanness becoming cool? Yeah, I see no's. That's good. That's good. How can we choose to be consciously aware, awake, and more present to being kind? Being kind is, it happens on a surface level, but then there are those other actions and activities that are deeper. When we come from a complete place of kindness, that it's just our go-to reaction on everything. I shared a couple of weeks ago how I, in my busyness and distractedness, walked past the lady that had knocked the things off of the end cap in the store. And I got a few steps past it and caught myself and backed up and went back and helped her pick those things up and put them back up on the shelf. I was distracted and busy, right? How can we get ourselves into that more conscious place of it being an automatic reaction to stop right then and there when it happens in the moment? That's what we're going to look at today. One of the good reasons that we can practice kindness is health benefits. Have you read about those studies about the effects on our health of kindness? Medical science has proven being kind changes body chemistry and improves our mood. We get that shot of serotonin, that natural antidepressant in the brain happens with acts of kindness. Now, the interesting thing about this study is it's not just the person who's providing the kindness, it's also the receiver, it's also those who observe the kindness. Now, that's a wonderful side effect, isn't it? It affects not only the parties involved in the kindness, but we can watch something happening. We can watch a feel-good video about a kind act, and we feel good. We get those same health benefits. So kindness is good for us. Kindness is good for us. So how can we make a more conscious choice every single day? Well, spiritual practices, which I consider kindness to be right up there with all of our spiritual practices, it's an inside job, right? It starts within. Kindness starts right here at home. Being kind to ourselves. Thinking kind thoughts about ourselves. Anybody else have a committee in your head that's not nice sometimes? Yeah. So changing that, putting that committee, in the closet or wherever they need to go to, and become more kind to ourselves, treat ourselves more kindly, be generous to ourselves, taking good physical and emotional care of ourselves. What's happening on the inside happens on the outside, right? So that will begin to build that habit, that will begin to get that thinking into the subconscious where it becomes habitual then. And then we're drawing from that well of kindness always automatically as opposed to the well of fear that we can sometimes go to. Isn't that where most acts of unkindness come from, is fear around something? Excuse me. Ernest Holmes is the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living. He's also the author of The Science of Mind, which is a philosophy that we teach. And he says lifelong habits of wrong thinking can be consciously and deliberately neutralized, and an entirely new order of mental and emotional reactions can be established in the mind. There is a law of thought that appears to say we attract to ourselves those kinds of thoughts which are like our own habitual thinking. We tend to attract more of those thoughts. And I would add experiences of our own habitual thinking. Our patterns of thinking, those neurological pathways, we've been studying the science. We know that that's accurate. He said that a long time ago, but it's scientifically now proven, those neural pathways in the mind, in the brain. Anybody ever gotten a bad habit? Oh, really? I can't wait for you to share in our sharing time. I think that Ron and I might be creating one right now. You may know that our entire house is under construction, but particularly the kitchen has been out of order for a couple of weeks, and we've developed this habit of going out for dinner about every night. And, it's just easier to have somebody else shop and cook and serve and clean. I mean, if I'm cooking, I've got to clean before I can cook. Then I'm cooking on a toaster oven. I'm doing dishes in the bathroom sink, and I'm making 100 trips between the kitchen and the other parts of the house where things are stored. I'm running out of groceries, and I can't go to the grocery store because I got no place to put the groceries. I mean, it's just a mess. So it's much easier to go out. And it's been easy to get lazy. It's been real easy to get lazy about that. And to create an unwanted habit. But my intention is that as soon as our new kitchen is done, that we will be stocked with groceries and in there cooking nice and healthy meals almost every night. Right, honey? But it's easy to create those habits. What bad habits have you picked up? Have you looked around lately? During the pandemic, many picked up a habit of watching a lot of TV or maybe doing video games, and that became a habit, something repetitive that they were doing. A lot of people started working at home, got out of the habit of the daily ritual of getting ready for work, professional attire. They work at home in their pajamas, and they have phone calls and videos where they look good from the top up. And I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just a different habit. But what I do see is this translating into society now that we're back out. I see people at the stores in their bedroom slippers. It's like, did they forget? And I'm seeing in the stores now that manufacturers are making bedroom slipper type shoes with soles on them, right? So you can do that. So it's really fascinating, the changes that have happened culturally. But are these habits that are going to stay, or are these habits that are going to change? What are the habits that you've picked up? Now, I honestly don't think that anybody in this room is unkind intentionally. It's just not in our nature, right? We're science minders. It's not in our nature to be unkind. But I do think that we can become more consciously aware of being kind in all situations. In all situations. We've all had the driver, right? We're in a line of traffic to make an exit, it's backed up and everybody's waiting, or maybe the lines are merging. That's a favorite, right? The lanes are merging and somebody goes flying by to get to the front of the line, turns their blinker on, just waiting for somebody to let them in. And you're thinking, I'm not going to let them in. I'm not going to let them in. I'm not going to let them in. They should have waited in line like everybody else. Those are the little acts of kindness, right? Those are the little acts of kindness. We get competitive. We get where we want to be that universal police officer instead of choosing kindness. The author of our book, The Peace Project, Kay, I can call her Kay. I've gotten to know her a little bit through this book. She shares a story about a parking lot issue. And she had pulled into the parking lot at the school where her kids were going for a meeting. And as she came down the aisle, she saw a parking spot and she turns on her blinker to pull in. About the same time, another car is coming this way and turns its blinker on for the same spot. Now, how many times has that happened to us? I've actually seen people get out of their cars and have a conversation about who got there first. Heated one at that. But she said, turn off the blinker, let the other car go. She went down the road, went back one more row further away, parked her car, and said, it's a lovely day, and it's a nice walk. I'm going to enjoy it, and my act of kindness. So she chose to be grateful and kind in that moment. Now, after the meeting, this is where it gets interesting. After the meeting, the school secretary came up to her and she goes, Kay, is this your key? And she says, why, yes, it is. How did you get my key? And she says, well, someone turned it in. They had found a key. And she says, I thought it might be yours. I think Kay's lost her keys there before. And she says, well, it is mine. Thank you very much. And so she's walking back to the car and she's in gratitude and joy and realizing what she saved, right? What she saved. She didn't have to backtrack all of her steps to try to go find that key. She didn't have to spend money and maybe hire a locksmith to make a new key for her. That gets expensive, right? And she didn't have the stress of looking for the key, thinking it's in the car, looking, everywhere. So she didn't have any of that stuff. She received a kindness. She received a kindness. And this is the law of compensation. This is the law of compensation, and that's how it works. When we draw from that well, that deep well of our subconscious in kindness, and we're expressing kind acts, we get treated kindly. It comes back to us. Giving as we receive, right? Receiving as we give. And that's the way the law of correspondence works. So she received a kindness back almost immediately. Now, sometimes if we're not being treated kindly by someone, and we've been kind, it's like, I didn't deserve this. It may be that person just can't access the emotion of kindness because of the chaos that they are experiencing in their lives. And we've all been there, haven't we? Where we've had something going on that has us so withdrawn internally that we just can't connect with the outside world. I had a little bit of that last week when I was driving back from the clinic about Sophia. I was really in my own world in my own emotions at that moment. And I had to really focus on driving and paying attention. So I get that we can disconnect, and we've all been there at some point. But trying to remember to be kind. Again, Ernest said, we attract to ourselves those kinds of thoughts and experiences which are like our own habitual thinking. And so Kay attracted that experience of the found and returned key because of her habit that she was building through the Peace Project of being kind, of being thankful, of expressing mercy. So how can we keep kindness in the forefront of our minds when we do get busy, distracted, frustrated, overwhelmed, autopilot? How can we do that? How do we find ways to be kind to those we like, maybe don't like as much? People that don't think like we do about life, religion, politics, any of those hot button topics? Can we return to a kinder conversation? Can we return to a kinder dialogue where ideas are expressed and exchanged. And can we find kindness and compassion to have those conversations, those important conversations we need to have, right? Can we find our kindness? How will we know when we have mastered the art and practice of kindness? How do we know? I know when I've forgiven because I don't have a charge around it anymore. Have you ever had that feeling where you can be in the same room with someone that you had a challenge with and you've forgiven them and there's no energy there? There's no physical energy in the body around that any longer. And that's when I know that I've completely forgiven that person. I don't have to hang out with them, right? But I can be in the same room without having a reaction. And it's similar with this idea of kindness. And I want to share a final story from the book. And this one, she had been out of town. She got 5 kids, and she'd been out of town with 2 of them. The 3 boys were at home. And she came in late that evening. House looked great, went to bed, got up the next morning early, went down to the kitchen to get her coffee. And the kitchen is a disaster. Kind of like that. And she said, as she looked around and she felt the energy rising of, really, guys? She caught herself, and once again, she reached for kindness. And she thought, I'm so grateful for my kids. They're intelligent. They're good students. They have healthy social networks. They're busy and active. They're good kids. They don't have trouble. They try to help out around the house. They did do the dishes and start the dishwasher, at least one load. They put clothes in the washing machine. They took care of the rest of the house. She said, I have good boys. I have good boys. And through that, then she found the energy to clean the kitchen. To clean the kitchen with gratitude and joy. I don't know if I'd have done that. Being honest, I'd probably rousted him and said, come on, down here, clean the kitchen. But this practice of the Peace Project for her has been so transformative, which gives me hope that it can be that way for me as well, as to transform that idea of right and wrong and righteousness and universal policing and all of that stuff, to just be kind, to just be love. Just be love. Practicing thankfulness, kindness, and mercy allows us to make the commitment to act kindly, to speak kindly, and to live kindly. And that's really what it's all about. If we are truly one, which is what the basis of our teaching is, we're being kind to ourselves, right? Yeah, being kind to ourselves. So let's look at our practicing the principles this week and see how we can make the commitment to kindness for our own lives. We have a Monday, Mindful Monday email that goes out on Monday mornings. It's a summary of the talk. It's the details of these practices. And it's a way that you can take this home with you and apply this teaching in your life throughout the week. And we say that Science of Mind is a very relevant teaching to our lives every day. And this is a way that we can make it more relevant for our own use. So number 1 is choose kindness. As I said, kindness begins at home. It begins within us. And we have to start thinking kind thoughts towards ourselves. We have to take kind actions for ourselves, good self-care for ourselves. So I'm going to invite you this week to take your meditation time and reflect on your personal kindness level. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Mother Teresa and 1 being Scrooge, where are you on that scale of 1 to 10? And are there certain times that it's easier to be kind than other times? What emotional states cause you to be more or less kind? Are you more kind with strangers than those closest to you? Commit to doing something kind this week. What's the kindest thing you could do for yourself? What's the kindest thing you could do for someone else? And do that. Take action. Do that. Number 2 is mindfully kind. And using our spiritual practice of mindfulness, being attentive, being focused on the activities, use mindfulness to be kind in all of your interactions. Setting a daily intention gets our minds working to achieve that intention. So if we set a daily intention to be kind, maybe we can set an alarm on our phone that goes off every so often to remind us to check in. Just a reminder to check in. Or maybe you send yourself emails. You can pre-schedule emails that come in just a nice little kindness message to yourself. Are you being kind in this moment? Maybe you have a friend that you can buddy with to be kind and to decide on how you're going to be kind. Make the commitment to act, speak, and live kindly, and then record what changes for you in your journal this week. Number 3 is pay it forward. We can't just be givers of kindness. We will receive kindness. We need to be good receivers, right? So when you notice an act of kindness, look for acts of kindness coming towards you, and then intentionally pay that forward as in your next interaction. Whoever you're interacting with next, whatever you're doing next, pay that forward. This is part of the cycle of circulation, isn't it? It's part of that. It's the giving and the receiving. And we're just talking about kindness, giving and receiving. So paying that forward. And for 12 ways to show more kindness every day, simple things we can all do. Okay, in addition to those practices. Smile. It's easy, right? Smiling's easy. It takes a few muscles in the face. Just smile. It's contagious and it lifts people's spirits. Say good morning with a smile and a kind word. Sometimes people come in my office and they just sort of grunt. And it's like, or don't speak at all. And it's like, good morning. Just a kind word and a good morning. Make time for our loved ones. Do something nice for them. Share quality time with them. That's one of the love languages, right? Sharing quality time. Help someone. Share your lunch with someone. Buy groceries for someone. Help them out. Somebody short change. Help a neighbor with their trash. We have for years helped our neighbor, just pushing her trash can back to her garage door so that all she has to do is open the door and bring it in rather than walking all the way to the street and rolling it back up her driveway. Simple things, right? Simple things. Be generous with your compliments and appreciation. Give the benefit of the doubt. Boy, that can be a hard one, can't it? Because we just make up stories so quick and so well. We're all great storytellers. But don't be quick to judge and condemn others. Give them the benefit of the doubt. We don't know what chaos they are experiencing in that moment. Forgive others. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect or blameless. Extend grace to those who have wronged you. Pat someone on the back, including yourself. Good job, right? Pat yourself on the back. Show appreciation. Be patient and polite. Okay, are y'all listening? Be patient and polite on the road. Broadcast world, right? Everybody. Be polite and patient on the road. When a driver needs to make a turn, change lanes, or merge into your lane, let them through. With a wave and a smile. And always say please and thank you. And the next time you're standing in line, I love this one. The next time you're standing in line, let the person behind you go ahead. I would like to give you the gift of time today. Please step in front of me. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, it'd be fun. All right. So that is 12 simple ways to create the habit of being kind to everyone. All right. So we'll close out with a quote from Scott Adams, who reminds us that there is no such thing as a small act of kindness. Every act creates a ripple with no logical end. So let's go out and create some ripples this week. What do you think? All right. So it is. And now it's your turn. What would you like to discuss today about your experience with mercy from last week? Or, oops, what am I doing? Your experience with mercy from last week? Or, Daniel. Is it mercy?
This one's been weighing on me since you started talking.
Oh.
So I was at a restaurant with a friend of mine, and we've all noticed that service and is slow because they're understaffed. And I got irritated. The waiter was very friendly, but we get the food, took a long time to get the bill, and I was all agitated and critical. And got home. Yeah, everything worked out okay eventually. Got home next morning. I'm at the store ready to pay something. No credit card. Guess where the credit card was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was back at the restaurant. So I called them up and they said they grilled you, and they said, yeah, your credit card's here. And so it got me to think that if I had been more calm in the moment and not as critical, that I would have gone home with my credit card instead of having to go back. And then, of course, you have to compensate people for doing the right thing. And so it was a good lesson. And that's what this talk was about for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Good example, real life. It happens to us. Anyone else? Kindness, thankfulness, mercy. That was your homework for last week, was mercy. Yeah. Mercy to yourself, maybe? Diane.
Thank you. I have a friend who's experiencing some issues in her transition, and she has a sister who is just making it difficult. and I was trying to stay out of that part, and I still am a little bit, but I was thinking unkind thoughts about her sister. And I realized that in this merciful world that we live in, she's terrified that she's going to be living without her big sister. And so terrified. And she was always a very dramatic person, full of drama. So I had a talk with her, but none of the others, nothing came up. I just let her tell me how she was feeling. And I felt better because she is really in torment. So in that mercy, I see that we're all getting through this with more grace, and more love and more gentleness. It's still hard. It's hard for everyone.
Yes. Thank you for that. Recognizing her fear and that she's out operating from that place, and that's all she's got. So that's very kind of you to do that. Thank you. Anyone else? You may have to come up a little bit.
When you were speaking, Jill, I thought about when you said, what are the circumstances in which we might find ourselves being unkind? And for me, I think that is when I get overwhelmed. I can tend to forget everything that's going on around me because I can barely just be keeping things together. And so for me, it's just a call to remember self-care and take more time and just stop and take care of myself. And then I can be kinder to everybody too.
Beautiful. Yes, very true. Yes, with this remodel, that's 1 second. With this remodel, it has been an emotional landmine. I think for both of us, because the whole house is torn up. There's not a clean spot in it. And as I walked through that every day, at first I was cleaning and dusting and trying to keep up, and then it's just like a losing battle. And it's just all of it it's very inconvenient, but trying to remember to keep my center, keep kind as possible. You hear a whole different side from Ron, I'm sure, but it's been an emotional walk for sure to move through this time. So we're getting there.
talking about being kind to ourselves brought something up for me. It's a little thing that I've just started doing. There are a lot of changes happening in where I'm living, and something I just started doing is making my bed every morning. Like just straightening out the blankets. It doesn't have to be like whole brand new sheets and everything. But what I've noticed is that even just when I walk past the bedroom and I look in, I'm like, oh, it looks so inviting, And it just makes me feel more calm. And I'm just like, good job, me.
Good job, you. I like it. That's very true. A made bed just changes the room, doesn't it? Transforms the room. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, Ray.
I think I've recently recognized that working from home, mostly, I haven't been as not kind, but cordial maybe to people that I'm communicating with online through emails and so forth. And so if I were to greet somebody in person at the office, before I start getting into the mission, I would say good morning. And I wasn't really doing that online. So I've really tried to make a point now of, saying something nice or complimenting them or just doing something to make it a little bit more personal and kind.
Yeah, it makes a difference. I started several years ago rereading my emails before I sent them from that perspective. And it's like, okay, let's add a good morning. Let's add a how you doing? Happy Monday. By the way, I need your help, right? Instead of just making the demand for what I needed. So it's it's those little things that begin to come from that deeper well of kindness there we can start to just have every interaction that we do, everything that we do, come from a place of kindness and love, come from a place of respect and dignity for the other person. Again, recognizing we're all one in this. We're all one in this. And, we get caught up in this thing called time. Time, right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's more important to be kind to each other than to get that thing done. It's my new motto. Maybe. Anyone else? One more. Yes, Victoria.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Bob and I are really noticing as we're aging that the time seems to be getting shorter. And we've been reading the book, The Power of Now. And it really made me realize that this may be the only moment that we have. And don't we want, as we're making that transition, to know that the last few things we did were kind and we were so appreciative of our lives and all the things that we have to be appreciative about, rather than kind of concentrating on those few little things that are kind of niggling that we don't like too well. So that's kind of our motto now, is just to really be appreciative of what time we have and the people that are around us and so on. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Power of Now. Great reminder. All right. We've complete? Yes. All right. Very good. Well, I think we should take this all into prayer this morning. If you will join me. Oh, how good it is that we come together on these beautiful Sunday mornings in this community where we share our gifts and talents, our conversation. We're just so blessed to have this opportunity. And as we come together, we recognize that we come together in the one, for there is only one of us. There is one life, one mind, one heart, and that is God, the infinite, the divine, the creator, the created, and the creation. It is infinite love pressed down to overflowing, so much so that it creates from that love and created each of us individually, individualized, unique expressions of the divine, of that one substance. There's not two substances, there's only one, and it's God's stuff, and we are that which it is. And so as I recognize that, I know the harmony and the balance and the love and the joy that we are, that God is. And in this unity, I speak my word for and about each one of us, knowing that as we are conscious and aware of kind acts, that we experience more kind acts towards ourselves, towards each other, and that our world becomes a kinder place because of it, that we are these ripples of kindness that just continue on into infinity, touching lives all around us in our community, our individual community and family and friends and businesses, and that we are that drop of kindness that ripples out. And then those ripples begin to touch and begin to become larger ripples until we live in a kind world. I know this day, for anyone that has anything on their heart that they seek prayer around, as they lift it into this prayer, we as this community hold them in our light and in our love, knowing that whatever the desire is, whether it's something needing to be known, revealed, healed, love, joy, whatever it might be, financial good, health, we know that that is occurring in this moment, in through and as this individual. And how grateful I am for this knowing, for knowing that this is how the law works, for the manifestation of this prayer, as I just joyfully release it into the action of law, knowing that it's already done, that the word spoken is the word made manifest. And we affirm that knowing right here, right now, by saying, and so it is.